Good morning. It is July 2nd, and I decided to do a quick garden update. It's been 9 days since the last time I posted, so I wanted to make sure I gave you guys a quick garden tour because, again, we've been working really hard in our garden this past week, and I want to show you the changes, some wins, some losses, and go from there. So I've been shopping again. So I actually went to a lady's house that was selling orange lilies that I wanted to get, and I bought 6 lily plants from her for $2 a piece, and she gave me all of these plants for free. So the crepe myrtle, there's a creeper over there that I'm going to plant on top of the tree stump outside, a couple hydrangeas, and a bunch of hostas that I plan on putting in Freddie's yard along that back fence there. And then I went to a different seller that was selling fruit trees, and so of course I had to check out her selection, and these are, you know, a couple impulse buys. These are a couple elderberry bushes that she was selling at $5 a piece. I couldn't pass that up. And a couple of these nanking cherries that will grow as bushes that I plan on putting out in the yard. I got these 2 pots and I ran out of potting mix, so I have to stop by at the store and grab potting mix. But this one is for the lime tree and this one is for the bay leaf tree. So the lime tree is growing pretty well, but it definitely needs a bigger pot. There's a couple buds that I think want to grow, but I'm not sure if we're going to get fruit on it this year. Our lemon tree is doing pretty well. There's a couple lemons that are growing that are getting to be a pretty good size, and it's putting on a bunch of new growth. So it looks very happy here. The reason I'm repotting my bay leaf tree here is because I set it outside and it dried out. So what I'm going to do is repot it, put it in a bigger pot, and then cut it down to the living wood and see if it will put out new buds and see if we can make it recover. So let me take you around. I'll show you the 2 fruit trees that I got that I've been wanting to put in. So these are the 2 apple trees that I want to plant in my front yard. So we got a Fuji apple, and then we got a pink lady apple, and these were a really good deal. I plan on cutting them back probably a little bit more and just grow them as dwarfs, you know, with an open center. And these 2 cross-pollinate with each other, so I'm really excited about getting some apples from them in the next couple of years. Moving on to our grape arbors. So these seem to be doing pretty well. They're growing. Whatever was eating them seems to have disappeared, and they have been putting on new growth. The grapes have been growing, which is really cool. Both of these seem to be doing okay. And then our blackberry bush is putting on new flowers, which is exciting. And then our strawberries seem to be recovering. We had a couple days of rain, which was fantastic. Our rosemary seems to have recovered as well, and it seems to be putting out new growth, so I'm excited about that. Our mulberry tree over here seems to be putting on new growth, so this is very exciting. This little patch here seems to be doing well. So this is my blueberry patch. I added a whole bunch of mulch kind of as a weed barrier, and I've added a couple of the Titan blueberry bushes, one over here and one over there. I figured there would be enough space because none of my borage seems to thrive in this area. Something keeps eating it, so I figure, hey, I'm just going to give up on the borage and just add a couple more blueberry bushes. Our sage has recovered quite well, and our coneflowers are doing fantastic. So I'm very excited about this space. Our pineapple sage has been growing and putting out new growth. I think it's going to flower in the fall, so I'm really excited. This ornamental sage here has put out new flowers, and you have to see how pretty it is. Isn't that gorgeous? It just puts out new leaves. And then this one back here does the same thing. It puts out like these two colored little flowers as well. Now, from my research, the Titan blueberries make blueberries like the size of quarters. So I'm really excited to see the blueberries grow on this one next year. And then our blueberry tree is putting out new growth. You see there's a couple new shoots that are coming up out of the ground, so it's growing so well. I'm really excited. All right, so this is what we're seeing here in my front flower bed. So again, the hydrangeas don't seem to be doing too well. I'm gonna stick some of the new hydrangeas in the same vicinity and see if those do well. And if anything, they can all grow together. Our pomegranate tree is putting out new growth, which is exciting. And back there, I planted orange lilies, but I'm actually considering, I've been doing a ton of research, and I've been considering turning this into a 3-season flower garden, like a cottage garden. So I may take these lilies and actually cluster them up and create these little spots of growth all over the place, just to see how it would grow. But I want to have color here from the beginning of spring to the end of fall. So it's very exciting. Everything looks good. Everything seems to be thriving. And, you know, my poor gladioluses, I don't know. I probably just didn't plant them deep enough. They're blooming like crazy and they look gorgeous, but they are, they're very top heavy, so they're falling all over my porch. So yeah, that's exciting. Let me show you this section of garden. I've been kind of weeding it and working on it. So this whole section here, I am going to extend this garden bed all the way to that pole, and mulch this whole place out, and then just make it pretty. So I'm probably going to remove this bush here. I'll prune this one back, probably prune this one back, but I'm going to put some more herbaceous perennial flowers in this area and just make this whole front of my house into this beautiful flower garden, just to make my house kind of look like a cottage. It's going to look beautiful. Now, these two Japanese maples, yes, they're beautiful, but I do want edible landscaping, so I've been thinking about just removing the 2 Japanese maples. One of my neighbors really wants them, and I'm going to put some peach trees, plum trees, fig trees, apple trees, apricots, and I already said peaches, I think. So all along this space, I'm going to prune them back to be dwarf trees, but I'm going to have fruit trees all over the yard instead. So let's move on to the garden. The biggest thing is we added the deer fence. You know, it's not very sturdy or anything like that, but it should do the job. I ran out of deer fence. I got 100 feet, and I thought it was going to be enough, but this whole section, we ran out of fencing, so I just need to get more. Let me show you. It seems like almost everything has recovered. Like our raspberries have been putting out beautiful new growth, this one and that one. Our yarrow has been growing well. The chamomile is struggling like crazy. I don't know if it's just too hot, too bright, or what. Over here it seems to be putting out a tiny bit of new growth, but I may take this up and move it under the grapes, and so hopefully it will get some shade over there, and it will grow better in that area. Our lavender is also growing well, and our sunflowers, they seem to be struggling a little bit, but they're still growing, so I'm very excited about that. All right, let me take you around. This squash is growing like crazy, and it's got a bunch of male flowers on it, which, you know, I've read like The squash likes to put out male flowers about a week before it starts putting out female flowers. So there's a ton of flowers in here, and I already see evidence of a squash vine borer in here. And so hopefully it survives long enough to actually put some fruit out. But you know, we'll definitely have to move it to we'll have to move the zucchini and the squash to a different part of the garden next year, because squash vine borers are the worst. But yeah, they're growing really beautifully. Let's see, so I gave up on the basil, and I pulled it, and I got a little jalapeno plant to stick in here, and that one seems to be happy. Let's see, the cucumber is actually growing, which is amazing. The flowers seem to be growing really well. I did have a couple banana peppers that have grown really well. That one is close to being ripe, and then there's a little flower out there. I actually picked a banana pepper yesterday, so that's cool. It's my first vegetable out of this garden. It's very exciting. I got these 3 pepper plants, and then I accidentally broke this little guy. When I first brought him home, I ran him over with the hose, but it seems to be putting out new growth, so hopefully it will create 2 suckers that will expand and that will grow into another pepper plant. Sweet potatoes are growing. They look beautiful. Everything seems to just keep going. You know, the cowpeas are growing. They've pretty much doubled in size since the last time I recorded, so that's very exciting. Our herbs are growing. I put a thyme and an oregano in with the tomatoes. The tomatoes are putting out new fruit, new flowers. Let me show you. Look at all those new flowers, and I've strung them up. So this wire fencing or whatever I got from my neighbor, and I just put up 2 4-foot poles, and I strung them up that way, and they seem to be very happy that way, and it is putting out new fruit, so you know, there's new fruit everywhere, and so we'll definitely have tomatoes this year. The dill seems to be doing great. It's putting out a ton of new growth, which is very exciting. And then we have kale. This is Russian kale, and that seems to be doing really well, so I'm excited we have Russian kale. And then I found these at the store on sale. 2 eggplants, so I planted those, and those seem to be doing really well. There was a crazy thunderstorm, so it damaged some of the leaves and stuff like that, but it's still doing okay. And then I got a couple of basil plants from the store on sale as well, so I stuck those in the ground. I definitely like basil. Our okra seems to have doubled in size in the past week, which is exciting. Despite the bugs, you know, everything seems to be growing well. Let's see, I already showed you these pepper plants. Let me show you the beans, because those are growing really well. So I planted these beans, and at first I was like, oh, did I space them out too much? But yeah, they're filling in quite nicely. So hopefully here in a couple of weeks we'll have some bush beans to pick. And then our butternut squashes are also growing pretty well. Our pumpkins love this space. They're growing. They're pretty much doubling in size every week, which is exciting. And then our cantaloupe is spreading out finally. And then our watermelon is spreading out finally. So very excited. We may get some harvest off of it, you know, despite the late start in the season. So that's what we got going on right now in the garden. I'm very proud of this space. We've been definitely working hard and hoping for the best, and everything just seems to be growing. So we'll see you next week for the next update.